had to partake in some pretty significant purging activities, and most often it was me cleaning things that I had no hands in accumulating. So I know that could be sometimes difficult as far as working through some of those things, and our staff is being called upon to work through those, what I would consider hordes of materials in some cases, and prepare for what is truly of value in order to take it for the transition. This, of course, takes significantly more time than we can give them or offer them, and our staff has really met the challenge head on as far as preparing that. And I know a lot of work is being done in preparation. By my count, I believe it's 27 high school teachers that will be making a move into a new classroom the week of the MLK holiday. 8 of those will be required to move a second time, as their homes are just temporary. So they'll be moving in and not be able to really get overly comfortable because they'll be moving again. This, of course, comes with the remainder of the staff waiting their turns for their own displacement and shuffling, and all have been very positive in conversations with me about the move. And I know that there is an air of excitement about the final project and our new home and what it will be. Also, I'd be remiss if not thanking our maintenance staff for all the preparation and effort that they supplied during this time, and I know lots in front of them to prepare and get things set up as we get there, including access for the internet and things that are just things that you don't think about having to get accomplished, and obviously are absolute necessities to make the place happen. So again, much work is being done and will be done for this move to occur, and it's difficult to know where to start to thank everybody because it's a lot. Finally, I think we offer thanks to the entire community for the fact that this is happening, and we're really excited for the positive change. I know Mrs. Golden, Mrs. Glass, Mr. Preetz, myself, we'll all be working hard to prepare for the plan of the implementation of the high school into that space as well, which is going to open up a lot of positive avenues for our high school and middle school students, and I know some conversations already begun there. We sat a little bit yesterday and discussed some things in the morning as a team and trying to prepare. What's that today? We did not come on Sunday. We're hard workers, but we were not. Wow, that was like 3 days ago. That was 3 days ago. That did not happen. She's right. So again, we are in an exceptionally exciting time, obviously, with all this moving, what's happening with the move, and really can't express enough gratitude for everybody that's afforded us the opportunity for something new in the space. And I know that people are exceptionally excited. I have to keep them from wandering in on their own to go look at the space because they're so excited to see it. So basically, that's pretty much a huge focus right now, and I think on everybody's mind. It's hard to get past that at the moment, seeing it's about a month away. That is my return.
Anybody have any questions for Paul? What do you do with all your purge stuff? Yeah, do we need to get extra dumpster?
Well, they will, yeah, so that's already in the works as far as bringing things in at that time. So the week previous to the move, there'll be extra ones on hand for us to move some things out. And it depends on what it is. So for example, math has a whole load of calculators, so I'll have to look into if other schools would be willing or interested in taking a look at those, because they're a type that they haven't used in the past and they moved to a new one. But they're still at work, so it depends on what it is we'd be speaking of. So not all of it's just hordes of junk. Some things are things that we can utilize in different ways. So making sure that we do that.
Anybody else? I'll say Hearing none. Thank you, sir. On to Ms. Williams. Oh, Dr. Craig, you forgot to thank your mother.
She might be listening.
Good evening. I'm going to sing bass while I give my presentation. I want to talk about PBOS, which is the Pennsylvania Value-Added Assessment System. I'm not going to talk about specific data tonight. I think Dr. Berryman is planning a data presentation for in the new year. But just globally, we all know what PSSA is, right? Our test, and we measure students' achievement on that test, right? How well they did. PBOS works hand in hand with PSSA. It's not a separate test, but what it does is it helps us measure growth, not just their achievement score at a moment in time, but starting in 3rd grade, how they achieved in 3rd grade, and how they grew to 4th grade, and how they grew to 5th grade, and how they grew to 6th grade. And it begins to help us to predict or project if the student continues down the same educational path that they have been, they will continue to grow at this rate, the rate they have been growing, right? And if we want them to grow more, it indicates to us that we need to do something differently for that student to get them to grow, perhaps at a more accelerated rate than they have been demonstrating in their testing history so far. And that's what PBAS helps give us data about student growth. So that information just came out to us recently. And so I met with departments last week, and we just kind of looked at our school data as far as growth goes. So, on PSSA, whether your achievement scores are good or not good doesn't necessarily mean you grew just because you had great achievement scores, right? Schools can have consistently high achievement scores and kind of flatline on growth. Schools can have relatively low achievement scores and have tremendous growth, right? And if you do that year over year, then your achievement scores will rise, right? So that's the hope. So I met with the departments, the English and the math departments, to go over our school-wide results and to show them some of the reports that PBAS provides to us that might be helpful to them retroactively, like reflecting on what did I do last year and how well did that serve the students that were before me last year. For example, there's a report that teachers can look at that just takes their students and the lowest third scoring of their students, the middle third scoring of the students, and the highest scoring third students into like 3 buckets. And this report just tells you how well those buckets grew or not. Am I, as a teacher, good at growing low achieving students? Am I good at growing high achieving students? Am I good at growing average achieving students? And so teachers can think back, so, okay, what did I do in my classroom last year that really, oh gosh, I got really good growth out of my low students, my lowest achieving students. What was it that I did? And let me make sure I continue to replicate that this year so I can continue to grow my lowest achieving students. That's just an example of a report where they're looking back. PBAS now has reports called Child Success Summaries where they can see the students that are this year's students in front of them, which is really neat because it's all the historical data that each student brings with them. But then you can look at those, your third period, those 20 kids in your third period, or those individual kids in the third period, and see what their projections are and what is the probability that that student may or may not score proficient on the PSSA. And the way that that's helpful is if a student has, there's a category, 40 to 70% probability of scoring proficient on the PSSA. Those are the kids that you want to put together in a small group and work with regularly because they're right there. They're right there and a little bit more face time and small group instruction at their level with their teacher, like just what is needed to get them over the hump, so to speak, to proficiency. So these, this is not the end-all, be-all of reports. It is one data point that we use to kind of create a context, an assessment context for our students, but it's something that we're looking at. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to be meeting with each of those math and English teachers individually to talk about what's specifically going on in their classroom, what specific practices are happening around differentiating instruction, that is personalizing learning to meet students' needs or groups of students' needs, to make sure that we're using this data the best that we can to help serve our students, to help them to grow. Because obviously the goal would be, if we can grow them, they will ultimately reach like those higher achievements, but we need to grow them to get them there. And that happens through intentionality and planning and thoughtfulness when it comes to what it is that we're going to put before those students. Questions?
I am.
Please.
So you mentioned the PSSA.
Yes.
Are those scores out?
Yes, they are. That's what I'm saying. Dr. Berryman, I believe, is going to present to you all after.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
And the PBAS, how is that spelled? You don't know me.
Yep, it's an acronym, PVAAS. It stands for Pennsylvania Value Added Assessment System.
That's for Laurel. I thought you said PBAS, but.
PBAS, people pronounce it both ways.
PBAS.
Caramel, caramel.
Yeah, caramel, caramel, I know it can go anywhere.
But that's what it stands for.
So we will have that report sometime.
I believe Dr. Berryman has plans to give you a data review after the new year.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay,
Thank
you're
you so
welcome.
much.
See, I feel good. I'm just sounding fine.
It's because you worked yesterday.
I know, Dr. Berryman, I'm here on Sunday.
Killing it. You're up.
What? Where?
I appreciate the opportunity, and again, before I get started, because I know I'll forget at the end, so I'll just say, really, I wish everybody happy holidays, Christmas, New Year, wish you it's a special time of year, for a lot of reasons. So at ACES, I just really want to highlight a little bit of, this is our second year of working with the high school with their Spanish students. They're in the process of Mrs. Lindsay Earl's Honor Society students are coming to visit us here in December, and we're sort of fostering some excitement about Spanish language learning. We're going to be teaching a lesson of about 25 minutes to their students, centered around some Christmas traditions that are popular in Spain in relation to their celebration of the holidays. Excited to say that we have 16 classrooms total that are represented in this partnership, and that scans grades K to 5. The interesting thing is growing in year 2 because of the positive reception last year. We actually had to turn some classes off just because of time and availability of the high school students. However, that's something we're going to look into and see how we can work forward to improve that opportunity for some additional classes and students for next year. So we're excited about that. In addition, something I shared last year, I'll share again. We work closely with our high school speech department. So Mr. Baker and his students do a great job. They come down each December here in collaboration to work together to high school speech students to recite from memory. We end up using a visit from St. Nicholas just the night before Christmas. We read an age-appropriate holiday story. We share obviously a holiday treat and answer some questions that the students may have. So they collaborate. And again, a little bit of conversation about like your high school students, which is always good and exciting with that interaction to know that you're in high school. And then the final piece to that is really our high school triumph. Music Honor Society is coming down to our building. That's becoming an annual thing across the district. Those students are coming down to sing some Christmas carols and engage our students through the musical movies that goes on in the district as well. So we're excited for those opportunities. Again, trying to foster and maintain those K-12 structures that are so important. Inside of our building, directly, our teachers, K-5, our students are completing their common benchmark assessments in both ELA and math. Students applied skills taught within the trimester 1. So as it connects to the PA state standards through open-ended problems, questions, and writing prompts. So we're moving next to grade level teachers to start the process of scoring those tests collaboratively together as a team, and working closely with their building coaches through the use of some scoring guidelines and rubrics associated with that. The grade level teachers and coaches will again analyze that data, and obviously that information helps drive future instructional decisions. Our intervention groups, and obviously any skill deficits and or acceleration opportunities our students need. The final thing I would share tonight is connected a little bit to what I shared last year. We're in the process of coming to conclusion with the caring and sharing drive. It's in full swing. We'll come closer to the beginning phase of that. I'll share out it's an increased number from last year. We're going to be assisting 62 Littlestown area school district families and over 150 children who are facing challenging financial times during this holiday season. So part of that group is working to support each family in the need of a holiday meal, and also providing them with a $25 gift card that goes to one of the local grocery store holidays there, given or so, so we're excited about that, and again, that continuous service with our students, with K-12 servicing our community and the needs that are associated with our school district and our neighbors. So that concludes my report.
Do we have any questions?
I do. You just mentioned that you were testing, right, correct, in ACES. Is that an in-house thing that you're doing yourself?
That is correct.
Okay, so you're testing the students, or are both the students and the staff?
Well, obviously, anytime you're testing the students and the results as how they're performing, that also would have a reflection on the teacher and their instruction throughout. this school year.
And so when you test the children, you're trying to, or the students, I'm sorry, students. Sorry, I'm used to educator. I apologize. When you're testing the students, you're actually looking for a way to make them function better, or
Well, it's to evaluate where, because at the elementary and like the secondary level, they run on quarters, we run on trimesters.
Okay.
So it gives us an opportunity to see after the first 60 days of school, where our students at, and all students get that same assessment. And it's not an assessment like the PSSA, where it's it's a much shorter variation that to gain some insight on what we're doing instructionally and where students at. And then connecting that is, Courtney says, it's one data point that we're using in connection with several data points that are associated with what we do.
now, is this your first year of doing that?
No,
Okay, so you haven't.
that's been an ongoing practice.
And has it worked in the past?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is giving us feedback, because for example, there's multi-steps to, for example, a math problem. It's not necessarily the students are creating 10 math problems and then assessing. Students get one math problem, but it's a multi-step problem, there's different layers to it, and again, it's assessing based on that rubric criteria, how well that student can do and what parts of that problem that they can do.
That's great. I'm glad to hear it. I always like to say, start at the bottom. Good foundation sure makes a better building. When you're dealing with the students, you have them first.
Sure, yeah.
So
Kindergarten
that's where it starts.
starts.
That's where it starts. Thank you.
Any other questions from the students? All right. Thank you, Bree. Thank you, parents, for raising such good people.
Should put that disclaimer in that, should have put it on the line too.
That's okay.
I think the whole hallway was pretty.
We're going to move on if we. The Thunderbolt Foundation report, Ms. Becker has no report because she's busy handing out shoes. So,
That's nice.
that's tonight.
That's probably Karen and Shirley.
Yes.
So we're at the public comment section. We now recognize members of the public who have signed up to provide comment as stipulated in policy 103. When your name is called, please approach the podium, state your name, confirm you're a resident or a taxpayer in the district, and topic of discussion for the record. Please direct your comments to the board as a whole, not an individual. We ask you limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. Privilege to speak may be interrupted, revoked, or a recess of the meeting may be called by the chair if the speaker does not observe reasonable decorum and orderly conduct. Thank you. Mr. Jeremy Ressler is up first.
Good evening, Board and Administration. I come here tonight from the Littlestown Elementary Football Association. Our season officially wrapped up last month. We had our end-of-year banquet. We had around 500 parents and athletes. Everyone saves for a nice, awesome chicken dinner, some awards and everything else. But I wanted to come here tonight to express our gratitude to the superintendent, to the board, the administration, the athletic department, Victor Chern and his staff, and finally to Coach Biddle and his staff. Without all of your help and support throughout the season, you wouldn't have had a great year as we did again. And I know I've said it before, but our youth football organization is one of very few that get the support of their own school district. So again, from the board to you, we thank you all. And on a side note, we're definitely going to miss Cindy Staub from the athletic department. Dealing with her from years ago, baseball, football, she was always great for everybody in the organization, so she's definitely sad to miss. While the LEFA Board's primary goal is focusing on the kids to provide a fun and educational environment for the boys and girls of Littlestown, where they can learn about football and cheerleading, our one town, one team mindset has again this year led our organization to help out the varsity football and varsity cheerleading programs by purchasing some new items. Just last week, we even decided to help sponsor upcoming cheerleading competitions going on. We do things like this as investment, as our youth will one day be part of the school program. So it's just making us stronger as a force. even though we are an athletic-centered organization, we're also focused on the students and community, because let's face it, without them, there would be no new sports. The LIFA board wanted to find some way that we could impact the students on and off the field with an emphasis on education and community. So with that being said, I'm pleased to announce that I have a check tonight to give Mr. Moran the amount of $500 for the Carry the Chair Fund. And then I also have a check I was going to give to Mrs. Becker tonight, but she's not here, the amount of $1,500 to go to the Thunderbolt Foundation to be used specifically for something that's going to impact our student athletes' educational lives. Because we're here to not only work, promote and do sports, like I said, but we're also here to promote the student athletes because they're student first, athlete second. So, thank you.
Thank you. Joyce, you see the picture, you're getting a check from Karen. Peanut gallery, right, to the left over here. Susan Johnson is up next. And thank you.
Tonight I'd like to also recognize the Littlestown youth basketball, particularly the girls basketball that has made a great impact with what has come up into the junior high basketball program. They've gotten off to an amazing start, and I can see great things happening in the future as they progress into the high school.